Hello everybody and welcome back to the nation of Nobbin. You might be wondering where I am right now and what that sound is. And I need some wither roses. And this is the best way I find to get wither roses is. Oh man, that's taking a long. There's like so many chickens in there. The lag is real. I can feel it when I move my mouse. But if you ever want to kill a wither, that's the easiest way. Smite 5 on your axe. But I wasn't here to kill the wither. Oh, there we go, we're back. And look at all those wither roses. Oh, heck yeah. And off camera, I did a lot of netherite mining and a lot of villager trading, which I'll have to show you later, to get my armor up to par, because I was sick of dying all the time. And now, once I die, I can get like max armor in just an hour. It's the best. There we go. That is plenty of wither roses to hold me over for a while. Now I have a lot of stuff to show you, because for this weekend, after I recorded the last episode, I took a little bit of a break. Because I didn't just record the last episode. Episode 20 and episode 21 were supposed to be the same episode. I recorded that all in one big stunt. And I thought I could fit it, but I had to break it up into 2 episodes. So I haven't been playing a whole lot because like I was editing, and then once I finished editing one, I started on the other. So I've just kind of braked for a while. And one of my off-camera escapades was end raiding. I like end raided for a full day. I was just I went to so many end cities, and look at that. I think it's 21 elytra, because I found one ship with no generated elytra, which was sad, but oh, it's so beautiful. But why do I need the wither roses? If we fly over here to the Mr. Beast Shrine, I really should show myself planting the flowers each time. We built this in episode 13, but I've planted like flowers for all the episodes. So realistically, I should take 13 of these flowers. I've taken all 12 flowers that were for before I built the shrine. I'm going to put wither roses in them. And this shrine, if you can tell, is the Beast React logo. I am trying to get on to Beast React, and I will plant a flower at this shrine every single episode until I do that. So now that's out of the way, I've got more stuff to show you. Something else I was able to do off camera and in between episodes is I built a second villager hall. That's my first one with all my stonemasons, and I built a second one for enchanted books, golden carrots, and tools. And eventually I put in cartographers to get glass panes, so I can get the glass from the librarians, turn into panes, get emeralds from these guys, so I'd get an infinite emerald loop, because I burned through 9 stacks of blocks. But now I have every single enchantment here in this trading hall, which is really nice, because I hated just like, I've been dying a lot. I've just been throwing on crap armor. But now I can just come here and in like an hour make a full set of god tier armor. I'll probably go through them again and infect everybody again just to get their trades down even lower. Because with the cartographers, I wanted to get it 1 pane for an emerald. Right now it's sitting at about 6. So I'll probably do that, and I don't know what I'm going to do in this section. I originally had villagers here, but I think they despawned when I cured them, and I don't know what happened, but they're gone. But in today's episode, I want to scale things back, because last episode was just a lot. I want to do a little bit of like smaller stuff, and just tidy up the base a little bit. And to start out with that, we got to go clean up all of my end raiding. And I also forgot to show this. This is a shulker box of fireworks. So when I run out in my ender chest, see these ones. I can just break this shulker box and put in that one, and it will fill up with more fireworks. The design is fairly simple. I just put fireworks in the top chest and they filter down into these bottom chests. And I have 4 hoppers pointing into the shulker box. To start off, I think I'm just gonna craft 2 stacks of shulkers and fill them into my shulker storage system. Because I've been hurting for shulkers lately, and that's one of the main reasons I went end raiding. And there we go. We have all of these chests cleaned out, which is so nice to do. I can finally get the space back. Except the shulker shells. I don't think I have a place to... Oh, I actually do have a place to store shulker shells. I wonder how many I have in there. I have 1. Okay, so I do have a place to store shulker shells. We'll just put those in there until we need more. So what are we going to do in this episode? Well, I thought we could build a house. I've got all the materials, and I'm going to go through my process of how I build these houses in my main city. But yeah, I first have to gather materials. The base, the foundation is mainly made up of cobblestone, stone bricks, and andesite stone. Stone gets 4 slots and every other material gets 2 slots. Kind of like this. And then I have a Logitech mouse which can unlock the scroll wheel, and I can scroll it really fast. So it randomizes it for me. And with this random block palette, I build up the foundation anywhere between 3 and 6 more blocks. And all these footprints I do in advance, so I'll do like a whole chunk once at a time. After I finish the foundation, I start on the framework. And the framework is pretty simple for the bottom layer. I build up all the way on the corners, but these days I'm leaving 1 off the top for the stone. And then on this top layer of stone, I add a crossbeam around the whole building. And the reason I leave 1 off the top is to make this be 1 consecutive log instead of split up into sections. If you look at this building, which is older, I have it split up into sections and the long logs going all the way to the top. I dislike this more because it seems to defy gravity, even though there's no gravity in Minecraft. With this setup, the shorter logs are holding up the long top log. But in some areas, like this front face, I won't be able to do that because there's no other supporting logs. And in this corner, it won't matter because you won't be able to see that corner log. And for the curvy bit, I make sure to add oak wood to the edge of the logs, so it just hides that patch at the top. For this side of the house, I'm deciding I'm going to do kind of a hangover bit. So the way I do that is I get it over, but the bottom log is 1 log down. In older houses I build, the bottom log would be on the same level as the other logs, but that ended up having funny floor patterns on the inside, and the windows wouldn't be at the right height. So by lowering it down, the whole second floor will be on the same Y level. And the next thing I do is I continue the framework. I try and keep the second level the same size or smaller than the bottom level, because if it's too big on too of a small house, it'll feel top heavy. For this house right here, there's the second level and the third level. It works because it's broken up in the middle, and this one also has no overhang, so I could go much taller. But for a 2-story house, having the second level bigger than the bottom level makes it look funky. After finishing the framework, I've realized that I've actually goofed here, and the stone is too high, because on this level is where the second floor will go to line up with the windows. And now that's fixed, I'm going to do this one a little unconventionally. I would usually do the walls next and the roof, but now I'm going to do the floors to get that nice outside light. And for the floors, I mainly use spruce wood. And what I do for the interiors is I like to call it a half interior. If I committed to a full interior for every house, this would take forever to make, which I still might do. So I go in the middle. Instead of doing no interior, I do a half interior. I put in the floors and I light it up. So if I ever want to come back and put an interior in it, it'll just be as easy as building the inside. After looking at this wall at the front, I realized that I should probably make it a little better. So I'm going to add a supporting beam here, and some logs on the side. And don't forget to get the 1 pixel underneath the path block. I've missed that a lot around the city, and I probably won't go around and fix it, but this will just add some detail to the front. And it doesn't need to be a lot of detail because it'll mostly be covered. And I also did that to give the door some depth, because if I put the door like this, I wouldn't be able to put the path block right there. So I'd have to put the door like this. And then doing this, it'll give it some depth. And then on the inside, I'm going to add a staircase next. This is also part of the half interior I was talking about. My usual layout for staircases is it's 2 blocks wide and goes around a 3 block pillar. And I kind of just wing it until I get to the top floor. This platform will either be flat or a step up just to meet with the middle. And I can scoot it forward and back just so we can get a perfect transition. It's a lot harder on buildings with 3 levels because you have to worry about getting the 3rd floor. And to cap it off, I just get this L with logs. I used to use trapdoors until the wood came out. But for this house, I'm going to have to use a little bit of a different staircase. The main reason I'm using a smaller staircase is because it has this weird curve. And it's generally a smaller house, so it should take up less space. Now looking at the curve, I'm going to move this wall inward 1 so I get rid of that stagnant block. This will also shift my framework, but that won't be too hard to fix. And I will also need to shift this main part, because now that's a 1 block center and that's a 2 block center. But this is good because I prefer to work in 2 1 block centers. With a 1 block center, the center block is 1 block. So for like 3 and 5. But with a 2 block center of 4 and 6, there's 2 blocks. And I find 1 block to work much better in my opinion. But working with 2 blocks isn't too bad. It just takes a little more work because you'll need 2 doors for the center door, and the roof will have to come in 2 blocks. So this works much better. I've just noticed I'm a bit silly. This layer of stone doesn't have to be removed because this is where the clay will be going. It doesn't matter what block you put here except for the stairway where you'll see it. So I'm going to vary it up a little bit. But for the most part, it'll be covered by the 2nd floor. Now here on the 2nd floor, I've noticed a problem. If I add in the wood like this, you get this ugly transition. So what I'm going to do instead is build a wall right here. And there will be clay right here going to the top. This will help separate it into rooms later. And if I ever want to add a basement, I can just use this area. Now that I have the floors done, I can work on the walls. And the main wall type I use for the city is clay. I got the inspiration when I watched one of Green's videos many years ago when he was transforming the interior. I saw the design of that house, and that's what I based all my houses on. I've experimented a lot what works with this design. I find that sandstone, hardened clay, polished granite, birch planks, stripped birch logs, and stripped oak logs all work very well with this style. But my city is pretty big right now, and I might change most of these back to clay so they fit in more. With the walls, I build them up until they're just below the framework. I do this to save materials. Because I won't be seeing it from the outside, I don't need to use it. But on areas like this, I will fill in the gaps, just to make interiors easier if I ever decide to do them. Now that I'm done with the walls, I can work on the roof. For the roof, I mainly used oak wood. I have used spruce and prismarine in 3rd Unique Street, but I prefer to use oak wood because I feel if I use anything else at this point, it'll stand out too much. And for the shape of this roof, I'm going to go with a lower profile, just to make it more different from all the other roofs in this area. And to combat this weird curve, I'm going to have a balcony right here. And I just start out by outlining all the roofs in the arches I want them in. And this jut out that I added is a perfect size for the same size as these. This one will be a little off just to match up with that one for the balcony, but I won't be seeing it too much. Then I slowly merge them. And for the outlines, I do a double layer fully around and in any spot that's visible. This is so I can add the clay later in, and it'll all line up nicely. Since I'm having a balcony here, I'm going to add a little attic space. And instead of worrying about centering the door, I'm going to make it purposely off-center, so that way it won't trigger any OCD when I'm flying by. And this gap worked out to be perfect for when I place in the floor for this level I didn't even think of adding. For these little gaps where the roof meets the floor, I'm just going to fill them in with wood because you can't really do anything there. And for the deck entrance, I'm simply just going to put a door here. I wish I could do more with the roof, but there's not a lot of space to work with unless I crouch, which is not very viable. And for the attic access, I'm going to add a ladder right here. Now that I've got the basic shape of the building done, I can start on the detail work. And since this is the main face of the building I'll be seeing a lot, I want to put a lot of stuff in it. Actually, I'll add spruce trapdoors on the edges. I like to do this thing where I add stairs above and fences below to make these pillars look a little thicker. And I'll also round out the rest of the foundation with stairs and trapdoors. And I'll just put a few buttons here. And I'll put a few slabs right there and a trapdoor just to make it look not as busy. And for the top section, I'll put a 2x3 window here. And I'll round out the corners with just stairs this time and put fences on the sides. For these smaller sections on the side, I'm actually going to bring it down one block so it's a square and add some diagonal stuff. And right here in the center, I'm going to add one more supporting log. And I make sure to break that slab so it seems connected. And for the window, I'm going to use oak fences. Now I just got to repeat this on all the other sides, just slightly different. Now that the whole house is complete, I've got all the sides detailed. I want to just add some leaves on this side just to make it a little more cozy and not so bland. And I'll probably come back with some bone meal. But for when I'm in plains biome, which is the main biome of the city, I like to use oak leaves because they're just kind of nice. But if I ever cross into the savanna or the desert, which is the other part of the city, I will use azalea leaves because they won't change to biome color. And now that I'm done, I can clean up my shulker boxes, which I store my material, and my bed. I can just hit this with a few spikes of bone meal. I do like to remove the flowers when I use the bone meal just to get the grass. The flowers they seem to stand out too much. And there we go. The house is all complete, and I really like it. It blends into all the other houses really well, and it's a little nicer because it's got the leaves that I don't usually add. I kind of want to add some more over here to blend it together. There we go. That looks a little bit better now that I've got that house all blended in. But I'm really liking it. And the final step is loading everything into the sorting system so it can be sorted again. Sometimes if I'm doing a whole ton of houses, I'll keep the shulker boxes. But since I'm just doing one house, I'll sort them back. Except for the stones because, yeah, that doesn't need to be sorted. While I was flying over this house, I noticed that I never finished the balcony. So I'm just going to quickly do that. And this balcony is going to be a little weird because, like, if I just fill in these fences, this will be, like, blocky. So I'm just going to fill this all in with wood. It does make it look a little bit weird right there, but I'm not going to be seeing this part. Something else I forgot to do was pressure plate these blocks because I'm trying to pressure plate more of the blocks so less mobs will spawn. Because I really don't want to light up the roofs because I think that would look funny. So I'm just going to go on a little bit of a pressure plate spree and see how many of these I can do. And to make it easier, I can use, I think this is mini HUD. Shows me the light levels, but it doesn't show me when there's a pressure plate on it. So now that we've got this house done, what am I going to do for the rest of the episode? And I want to turn my attention towards this place. I used to have a bunch of trees planted here, just vanilla trees, and I didn't like that too much. So I chopped them all down, and I'm putting in these custom trees. But just having these, I think, is a bit bland. So I'm going to cover over this. This is a old project of mine, very old, at least 5 years, where I mined out a chunk. I'll probably extend it someday. So I'm going to cover over this, make this an underground mine, and put a cabin here, hid it in the woods. But I also want to update these paths. I think I want to use packed mud. So I've got a bunch of this packed mud, and this is the first time I've used this block. Oh, but this goes really well with my path that I'm designed here. I'm liking how this looks. I might remove the moss. I think it might be a little too green, but I'm going to add all the mud to the pathway. There we go. Now I have all the mud in, or the packed mud, I think. Yeah, packed mud. I really like it. So now I've got to grab some podzol and cover this over, because this is where the house is going to be going in the really overgrown forest. There we go. We have the whole mine covered, and I probably will open this up in the house, but now I got to go grab the blocks for the house. I've got some of the resources for this house ready, and what I'm thinking is using mud bricks for the base instead of stone, because this will all be covered. There will be thick trees here, and I'm gonna do a porch of spruce, so these two paths will lead up into a porch. So this is what I'm thinking for the house. I want to use these mud bricks for the foundation because I haven't used these yet. But besides that, this house is gonna have a deck. I decided to use mud bricks, yeah, because I haven't used them before, and it won't be too noticeable far away because there's going to be tons of trees here. I've got the foundation done, and for the walls, I was thinking doing jungle logs, or jungle, maybe I should, jungle planks, because I've never used jungle planks. Yeah, I'm gonna build this up in jungle planks. Maybe throw in a couple stripped jungle logs. Maybe not. So I've been working here for a couple of hours, and I'm kind of really liking this house. I have the mangrove logs on the side, and I've decided to use stripped spruce logs sideways for the walls because I thought it looked better than the jungle. And I'm doing dark oak for the roof, but it is very, very much not finished. So I'm gonna have to finish this up, and I think I'm gonna do like a second story here, and why not finish this up with a nice time lapse. So here we go. just like that, the entire house is complete. I did, I know, I didn't do the back. It's like, nobody's gonna be looking here. Not even if I fly over. I'll cover up that fire pit, but like, nobody, see Podzol. This is even sealed off, so I didn't do the back. It's like, I'll never see it. Maybe I'll see a little bit. No, I won't even see a little bit if I fly this way. So, back is backless, but I really like this house. I ended up taking out the trees over here because they weren't tall enough, and I want this to be completely covered. I don't want this to be visible from the street, from my house. I don't want this to be shown at all. So I'm gonna add some trees in later, probably not this episode, maybe later. I decided to go with a flatter roof because I didn't want this to be too high, because then the trees would have to be higher. So boom, flat roof. I also sprinkled in a ton of mushrooms here. It was looking really brown, so I added some soul lanterns and red mushrooms and redstone torches. So I also want this to be really, really dark. And if you look at this, there's a lot of spots that have been mob proofed, and it's like just barely mob proof. I didn't mob proof this area because I'll probably put in some external lights to light up the railway, so mob proofing it now at low levels wouldn't make sense when I'm going to mob proof it later with high levels. But there's still some work that needs to be done over here, but I'm really liking this. And all these mushrooms actually have a purpose, because mushrooms produce light level 1, and all the mushrooms fill in the gaps. I think that's really cool. If we go up here on the deck, I need to clean up all my shulker mess and my chests and add a door. I'm gonna add a mangrove door just to add some more red. Yeah, I think that fits in really nice with the red all around it. I haven't used the mangrove door yet, but if we go inside, yeah, not much of an interior. I did the fire pit because I wanted to have that done. I did, and I didn't really do the upstairs. I might add a dormer right here later, but not today. And I'm really liking this place. And I did connect it down here with the mine area, or the hole that I'll extend downwards at some point. And I think it looks so good at nighttime, because all of this is mob proof. It looks very, very dark. But I'm gonna end it off for today. So if you like the episode, watch another, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.